Hey, I'm Hannah Weiss, the Director of Education at the Science Museum of Western Virginia, and this is your Moment of STEM. And this week, we are going to talk about some brand new research just out from Virginia Tech. So just earlier this week, researchers at Virginia Tech published a study about, get this, cell tunneling and the ways that macrophages and fibroblasts influence the environment around them in wounds. Now, this may sound kind of scary, right? It's a lot of new words and new terms and some pretty deep vocabulary. But it's actually something that we're probably all at least fairly familiar with. In fact, if you have ever maybe run a little bit too fast in the playground and tripped and skinned your knee or, like your elbow, you've seen some of these interactions happening, right? When they're talking about these different cell types kind of reacting and interacting with each other, they're talking about macrophages, which are kind of like white blood cells. They usually will eat up things that invade, like bacteria or even dead tissue or dead cells, and fibroblasts. And these are cells that create fibers. They're really, really important in our extracellular matrix, which I know is another really, really big term. But what that's talking about is the stuff outside of cells. The fibers like collagens and elastins that hold our cells and tissues together, or connective tissue. They're really, really important. And the fibroblasts, what they're doing is kind of building those fibers. So these researchers at Virginia Tech were really trying to figure out how these two cell types interacted and how they changed the area that they were interacting in, specifically when wounds happen, like skinning your knee. And what they discovered is that these two cell types kind of talk to each other, right? The fibroblasts build these fibers, which the macrophages really need to kind of move around. And it's really important that they're able to move around so that they can help make sure that we heal things. These researchers found out that in really, really dense fibrous structures, if there are no fibroblasts, the macrophages aren't really able to move as well. And they found out that these cells even communicate with each other kind of chemically. They use chemical signals to give each other sort of like directions to help them move around. This is incredibly, incredibly important stuff because it can have huge implications in the way that we treat wounds or even potentially the way that we help make sure that people get better from certain types of cancers. There are some tumors where the structure of them looks a lot like the structures that the researchers in this study were looking at. And if you would like to look any deeper into the research that was just published or explore a little more about macrophages, fibroblasts, or even the extracellular matrix, you can check out any of the links below. Otherwise, I'm Hannah Weiss from the Science Museum of Western Virginia, and I am so glad that these cells are working in my body.